So, when you hear the name Adam Smith, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably the invisible hand, right? Or maybe self-interest. He's become this icon for the idea that greed is basically what makes the world go round. But what if that's a huge misreading of his work? Today, we're going to uncover the other Adam Smith, the moral philosopher who believed our hearts are just as important as our wallets.
And this quote? This is probably the most famous line in all of economics. It is not from the benevolence of the butcher. You've heard it. This single sentence has been used over and over to justify the idea that society works best when everyone just looks out for number one. But as we're about to see, taking this quote all by itself completely misses the point of his entire argument.
So is that really the whole story? Was Adam Smith's big lesson for us just be selfish? Well, the answer isn't in his most famous book, it's in the one he wrote first.
See, to really understand Smith's economics, you have to understand his ethics first. Because long before he wrote about wealth, he wrote about morality.
Get this. 17 years before The Wealth of Nations, Smith published The Theory of Moral Sentiments. And this isn't just some prequel, okay? This is the fundamental operating system for all of his economic thinking. Without it, his ideas about the market are just incomplete.
The core concept of his whole moral philosophy is sympathy. But for Smith, this wasn't just about feeling sorry for someone. No, it was the active, imaginative process of putting yourself in someone else's shoes. It's the psychological glue that holds society together.
And how do we keep our own self-interest from going completely off the rails? Smith's answer is what he called the impartial spectator. It's like this imaginary, neutral judge inside our own minds. We consult this inner observer, and we ask, what would a fair, unbiased person think of what I'm about to do? For Smith, this internal conversation is the very origin of our conscience.
And this isn't just our interpretation. This is the very first sentence of the Theory of Moral Sentiments. He starts by admitting, yeah, we can be selfish. But then he immediately pivots, saying we are hardwired with principles that make us care about what happens to other people. He's setting the stage for a world where self-interest and sympathy actually coexist.
Okay, so with that moral framework in place, let's head to the marketplace. Because now, when we look at his famous economic ideas through this lens, they take on a whole new meaning.
Smith kicks off The Wealth of Nations with a now famous example, a pin factory. He noticed that one worker doing all the steps alone could maybe make one pin a day. But if you divide the process into specialized tasks, one person stretches the wire, another straightens it, a third sharpens the point, the result changes dramatically. Together, those 10 specialists could produce an incredible 48,000 pins in a single day. This is the power of the division of labor. It's not just about working harder. It's about specialization and coordination, which unlocks this massive explosion in productivity and therefore wealth for everyone. And this principle of cooperation leads us to his most famous idea, the invisible hand. Now, it's often mistaken for a celebration of greed, but it's really about spontaneous order. The baker doesn't make bread out of love for you. He does it for his own self-interest. And yet you get your dinner. Millions of these individual actions, guided by self-interest, but operating within a system of social trust, create a functioning economy without some central planner telling everyone what to do.
Okay, now it's time to connect the dots. What happens when you combine the moral philosopher with the economist? You get the real balanced vision of Adam Smith. Just look at these two paths. On the left, you've got a market with no morals, just pure, unchecked self-interest. It's an unstable tower built on fraud and distrust, and it's destined to collapse. But on the right is Smith's vision, a market where self-interest is balanced by sympathy and conscience. That's a stable structure, built on trust and cooperation, leading to sustainable growth.
So how does sympathy regulate the market in a practical sense? Well, it's not about just being nice. It's about being effective. To succeed in the long run, you have to use your imagination to understand what your customers need. You have to build trust so they keep coming back. And your impartial spectator tells you not to cheat, because a bad reputation is just bad for business. For Smith, morality is the essential lubricant for the economic engine.
And don't for a second think that Smith was some naive cheerleader for big business. He was deeply suspicious of them. He famously warned that whenever business owners get together, they're probably trying to rig the game. He wasn't pro-business, he was pro-competition that serves the customer.
Smith saw society as a building. Benevolence and charity, those can be the beautiful decorations. But justice, the rule of law, enforcing contracts, protecting property, that's the absolute foundation. If that foundation cracks, the whole system comes crashing down.
So let's pull all this together. What is the real lesson from this monumental thinker?
First, Smith was not an anarchist. He believed the government had three crucial, well-defined roles: protect the nation from attack, run a fair justice system, and provide public goods like roads and basic schools that the private market wouldn't build on its own. A strong but limited referee.
So let's be crystal clear. The great insight of Adam Smith was not that greed is good. It's that human self-interest, when it operates within a strong framework of justice and is guided by our natural sympathy, becomes a powerful force for good. It creates a system that can generate prosperity, not just for a few, but for everyone.
And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. If Adam Smith was right, if a healthy economy really does require a moral foundation of sympathy, trust, and justice, then it forces us to ask a tough question about our world today. What have we been
No te vayas del video antes de comentar, suscribirte o darle like. Recordá que estamos en TikTok, Instagram y YouTube.